Welcome to the Beyond Divorce, Embracing Change podcast. My name is Michael Flores, and I will be your host while we explore the complex journey of divorce with empathy, insight, and practical knowledge. Whether you're contemplating separation, in a divorce, or looking for support post-divorce, our episodes provide expert guidance, stories, and strategies to help you through every step of the process. We are actual therapists, helping clients who sit on our couches every day through their difficulties of divorce. You are not alone. Join us as we delve in and find solutions that give you hope again. We're glad you're here.
This podcast is not intended to replace legal or personal help. This podcast is for informational purposes only.
Well, good day, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond Divorce, Embracing Change. I'm here with Jen.
Hi.
Hi, Jen. Good morning. Jen actually had brought this topic to us, which I love, and she wanted to go over the top 5 fears that people face in divorce. Now, Jen, is this more like the fears kids are going through, parents?
It's more about the parents.
Okay.
Definitely more about the parents because they're the ones actually going through the divorce.
Correct. Yeah. And sometimes, yeah, it's like I told some kids the other day, you know, you didn't get to pick your parents. You didn't pick, I mean, not that I'm aware of, right? I'm not aware of us picking any of that stuff when we're kids. But they still have to kind of go through that. Sometimes the parents, you know, their own stuff is projected. And so we know we get that a lot. So the question I'd love to ask you then is, what are the top 5 fears and where did we get this information from? Maybe that'll help the listeners know how we got here.
Well, I mean, it comes from a combination of different areas of what I've seen in practice, obviously what I've seen experience with our clients, a little bit with myself because I'm also divorced, but at the same time there's the top 5 things that we have to think about or that people tend to come up with is one, being alone.
Okay.
That feeling of being alone, the feeling of regret or doubt in this process, the financial instability, how does that impact them? Hurting the kids, how it impacts their children, and then thinking about the judgment and shame that may come along with being divorced within our society.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny because I feel like I've seen all these.
Yeah.
You know, in therapy. This is not all 5 of them. And so where do you suppose we should start? You know, so the listeners kind of can follow along and we can kind of take them on a ride on.
I think we start with what the person individually is dealing with.
Got it.
And that would be being alone.
Okay.
I think that's one of the things that we fear a lot is, you know, you're getting divorced, you've been with this person for whatever length of time, and you're facing being single again, being alone, being the loneliness that may come with that.
Yeah.
Being able to find love again. Do you trust anyone? Do you not? Those feelings are very internal and they're very specific to every person. And so it's something that we fear because you're moving out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I mean, marriage can be comforting.
Right.
And it's a great, wonderful thing. But when it's not working anymore, you have to kind of face that option.
When people are finding themselves, Jen, in that sense of feeling alone or the fear of alone or just loneliness in general.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you have seen in your work with individuals that you find is probably the most helpful way to navigate that feeling?
Having support.
Okay.
Having friends that you can talk to, therapists.
I can tell them.
Therapists to go to. I mean, I have a lot of parents that I'm like, really think it might be beneficial for you to talk to someone.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually seeing their kids.
Right.
And they really have some stuff they're dealing with themselves internally. But looking for things to do, having activities, going and, I don't know, pick up a new hobby. Something that you can do to kind of give yourself some space to be by yourself, but not really be by yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so is that more the alone or the loneliness? Is that the same thing? The loneliness?
It's a little bit of both because you can do things where you might want to read books.
Yeah.
Something you can do on your own. Or you might want to learn a new skill and you don't have to go to a class for it. So you have a way to interact with other people. So it depends on the person because some people, they're fine being by themselves. That loneliness isn't really an alone thing.
Yeah.
or they're looking for companionship. So they go out, they have friends, they have people they go do stuff with.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they have kids, and they may have more things with their kids at that time when they have the ability to. So they have a way to focus on something else.
Correct. I get this feeling that people that go through this particular stage or this fear of being alone is, I wonder if that goes back to, I think it's innate in all of us as human beings. We want to relate to each other. Like people
are social.
We call it social media. I don't know how social it is, but the idea that we do crave this need to socialize or to connect, even if you're introverted. Like introverts, like they may get their energy from being alone.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that they want to be lonely.
Exactly. Yeah. There's still there's still a connection with other people. People by nature are very social.
Yes.
Whether they're extroverted or introverted, that's not the issue. It's we are a social being.
Yeah.
In the way that we live, in the way our communities are, society, church, you have your friends, you have all these different avenues that you can go in.
Yes.
And so the hard part, though, is when you're going through a divorce, it may feel more alone than normal.
Got it.
And so it's finding a connection. Sometimes people go to divorce support groups because they need other people who've been in the same boat with them that can understand how that feeling really is. Because it's a little different when you're getting divorced than just being on your own.
It sounds like you're saying if you not necessarily fearful of this is one of the fears, but if the fear is this, just put yourself in a position to say, I have outlets. You know, I have friends or getting involved in things. You're saying there's an alternative to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Got it.
Well, and the other part of this that I think is very internal is the regret and doubt that people may feel.
Tell us about that.
When you are going through the process of divorce, I think a lot of people question, am I doing this right?
Yeah.
How do I do this?
Yeah.
Did I make the right decision? Is this a mistake? Could I have done something different to save this? And you start questioning yourself. And it's that thought process that can really pull someone down.
Mm-hmm.
And so really thinking about what's the best option for you and your family. What is the outcome going to be? And focusing on that a little bit more so that internal feeling isn't pulling you back down.
When you feel regret and doubt, could it be useful?
It can be because...
tell us about that.
I think it can be used in a lot of ways because one can either help reassure you that you did make the right decisions.
Got it.
Or, there have been, we've seen it, there have been couples who are in the process of divorce, and by going through, some therapy and things, they actually figured out they wanted to work on things in a different way. And so that doubt actually created an opening for them to be able to come back and work on it.
Yeah, sometimes I've seen that too, Jen. I think I've seen people that when they're in the stage of the fear of regret and doubt, like I don't want to make the wrong decision. So they seek out like help to kind of navigate that decision. And I think if they really take the time to process it, sometimes people, we all crave the need to be validated, but some people are only looking for someone to see it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Like they're not, like I think the people that I have found that have been helped the most in the process is the ones that come in and say, challenge me. Like, if I'm off, let me know. Like they want to be, because when they're challenged, it makes them think deeper about it.
Yeah.
And the ones that come in and go, I just want you to tell me I'm right or validate. I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like they have a harder road they have to walk down.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're regretting and doubting, maybe what you're saying is, in the event you fear it, you will. Like you're gonna regret and doubt at times.
Yes.
But when you do, the way you can approach that is you can seek out a person that you trust that knows will tell you.
Yeah.
You're off, you're on point. Have you really considered this? Have you considered that?
Yeah.
And what it does is it causes you to reflect and go, I know that I'm doing the right thing here.
Exactly.
And so you can feel confident about the decision.
Exactly.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, it's
Understood.
to work towards that being confident in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And how you're doing it. And I mean, what we see with our clients a lot is the parents, and this kind of goes back, we'll talk about kid stuff in a second, but it does go into what your kids, being confident to let your kids know you're confident in what you're doing and you got handled.
What benefit does it have to the kids when the parent is a confident parent?
They feel secure.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it creates security
they feel
there
like
too.
they're confident because their parent is.
Yeah, they can be. Yeah, they kind of mirror that. They match it. So I have another thing that I've kind of thought interesting about this particular topic about regret and doubt. What I find interesting in this particular area with regret and doubt is when people, when I'm working with clients and they come in, and they're having like this regret and this doubt, what they're really struggling with is this future that could have been.
Yeah. The
Right.
possibility.
Yes, like, and I know we're broader possibilities, but they get this idea of what was possible, what could have been, how it could have been, right?
Yeah.
The vision or the dream that they had of a future that no longer will exist if they make this decision. And so I think that's probably the hardest transition for most people.
It is. Because you have to think about, well, the potential was there.
Yeah.
There was all this, because in the beginning, when you get married, you don't think you're going to get divorced.
Well, the hope is you're not getting married to get divorced, right? I mean, I think most people are asking for that.
But at the same time, I mean, it's coming to grips with that change in your relationship.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to think about.
Yeah, I think that's part of that cycle we talk about with
is.
grief, where they go a full circle back to, if you haven't heard that episode on the grief cycle, there is one in there.
It actually is really good too.
Yeah, and it's really about this process, isn't it? And how we go through those to get to a stage of, we call it acceptance, I think is what the grief cycle calls it. And I just call it, peace. Like you get to a place in yourself that you have peace. So when I see finances is number 3.
Oh, yes. Number 3.
Fear of one of the fears is finances.
Yes. Fear of financial instability. You're going from a 2-person income to 1.
Yep.
And how does that work? How do we live? How do we have 2 households?
So you mean finances as the fear of less? Like we're going to, okay, got it.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with how, especially depending on how your family is set up, sometimes one person doesn't work.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, how do I get divorced? I don't have a job. I don't have a way to support myself.
Yep.
And how do I do this?
Right.
That support, how do I support myself? How do I support my kids? How do we have the same lifestyle? This is what they're accustomed to. Now we're going to have to cut back on this, this, and this. And how do I do that?
Yeah, there's it's always around the holidays.
Yeah.
That sometimes I notice that kind of creeps in, where the parents like, I can't.
I
can't do as much. I can't get them as much. And
vacations.
Parents, and so I think that's a legitimate fear, though. Like to me, it's like, I'm really worried about how financially we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Plus, getting divorced is expensive.
The legal costs, yes. Unfortunately, that is definitely something to think about.
And so, so people think about the cost that it's going to take to go through the process of divorce, the cost, the money that they're losing from, like you said, the household income is now changing. One of the things I probably should ask Armando about, because I know he does the step-parent stuff, is step-parents sometimes financially are trying to help their, like if a parent gets remarried. Yeah. So they get divorced, right?
Yeah. Then
they get remarried, but then there's other things that come up through it, whether there's custodial arrangements or whatever else. Things. The step-parent then tries to get involved and financially support, so they feel like they should have a place in it or a voice, and then they kind of get kicked out. And so
it's a little tricky.
The dynamics are just messy.
Yes. They are.
And so, I think it's amazing. I don't have a remedy to finances. I think, what I would tell people with finances, honestly, I hate to say it this way, but I shouldn't hate it. I'll just shout out to Dave Ramsey and say that.
Oh yeah, he has a great program.
He does, and Dave really talks about being debt free. And I think when you think about finances and divorce, you not only think about what you're losing in finances, but you also have to. There's 2 ways that money works, right? There's the offensive way, which is earning.
Yeah.
Then there's the defensive way, which is how you manage it.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you become a good manager of your finances,
you can manage anything.
I think you can get through it. And I'm not saying it will be easy, and I'm not saying you'll maybe take a couple years to recover where you were.
Yeah.
But you'll find a way through it.
Exactly. And I think that's working through that fear of that being unstable and finding a way to be stable with it.
What I would add to that too is I would add, like, when you guys really think about how you spend your money in a divorce, like really think about, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
Because I think some people will spend money because they either want to prove they're right. I'll say it like this.
Prove they're right, yes.
You can prove you're right and lose, or you can win and you'll be wrong. Now, I didn't say that. I heard that from someone else. And I thought about that. I thought, I've seen that in divorce. They'll spend the money to prove they're right.
Yeah.
But they'll lose. Yeah. Like in the outcome, they lose.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll go and go, I'm just going to win because I can't lose. I'm going to go and I'm going to win. And then it's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? And because it creates another storm of problems. And so I think
it's a whole other topic.
Yeah, I think I would encourage the listeners to say, really think about how that money is being spent.
Yeah.
And is the juice worth the squeeze? As another friend of mine used to say, it may not even be, there's no value in doing it this way.
Well, and yeah, I think that we have an episode about winning your divorce, so that's coming up.
Yes.
So we'll talk. I mean, we'll have more
Well,
talk about that.
That's gonna be a fun. I might have to say this comment again on that one, but I will say that that one makes sense to me. So now there's a fear that people have about their kids.
Oh my gosh, I think with divorce, that's probably one of the, even though it's kind of on the bottom, it's one of the number one things, because the things I hear from parents is we don't want to hurt our kids.
Yeah.
We want them to be okay through this. We want to process through. I've had the luxury of actually having parents bring their kid in before they tell them they're getting divorced.
Okay, hold on. You mean they brought them to therapy?
They
but
brought them to therapy before they actually told them about the divorce.
Oh, wow.
Just so that they would have an outlet for it.
Yeah.
So that when they do tell them, they know how to process it a little differently.
It's almost like, hey, we're gonna have a heart attack, but we're gonna go to the hospital before it happens. You don't know it's coming, and then when it happens, we'll be at the hospital already. Yeah. I will say that I'm not opposed to a parent saying, "Help me navigate." An area I don't know how to navigate. I don't know how to say this to my child.
Yeah, I don't know how to tell them.
Yeah. Interesting. How did that go?
Actually, it went really well. I mean, it was a small child. She was young, but I think it actually helped her think through it a little differently.
The child?
Yeah.
Okay.
The parents were they both were on the same page.
Were both parents present?
Both parents were present.
Got
they
it.
were on the same page. They discussed it beforehand. They had a plan on how they were going to do it. And that was their thought process.
And so they did it collaboratively and with the child present. Did the child get to ask questions?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, and I think that's the thing. Parents often, they worry about the impact on their kids, their psychological impact, the emotional impact. And, kids tend to act out when they're unhappy and upset. And we see that a lot with divorce, that the kids are acting out because this change is happening.
With the parents approaching it from that way, what difference did that make for the child?
It made it more streamlined for her.
Okay.
She was able to understand a little bit better why Dad moved out of the house and got an apartment.
So she had questions that she never had answers to.
Well, no, I mean, they did it afterwards. Yeah. They saw me first and did everything.
So basically everything that was about to transpire now made sense because there was a discussion that happened before the changes occurred.
Yeah. So they could explain the changes without having any kind of, she knew what was going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which, I mean, that's a hard thing to do. And some parents, they don't want to, they go through as much as they can on their own and wait until the very end and say, okay, this is what's happening and we're going to tell you now.
So then when a parent has a fear of how the divorce is going to impact the kids, are we saying a remedy to that is if you and your soon-to-be ex can say, let's do this together in a therapeutic setting where we can let them know what's happening and then give them permission to have it. Now, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in a therapeutic setting. Even just the two of them collaboratively going to the kids and saying, this is what we're going to do together. I think the thing that's difficult there, though, is the parents have to agree on how the dissolving of the relationship is going to look.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times when parents are in divorce, I think they have two different views of what that's going to look like in the dissolution. And so the problem too, there are some people that don't want the divorce, and there's one that wants to wants to maintain marriage, the other one wants divorce. And so then how do you have that conversation? Because then one of you is going, well, I really don't want to get divorced, but your mom wants to, or vice versa, your dad wants to. And so then now the kids are going, okay, now what do I do now? Like, where do I go here?
Well, and that's, again, where we can come in and help with that process of how to process that information. Because ultimately for kids, helping them understand that this decision is not about them.
Yeah. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Kids are very quick to assume they're responsible for whatever's going on in their household. Yeah. The impact on them is huge because they think, no offense to kids, but they're a little self-centered sometimes. So they think everything's about them, which is not a bad thing. But sometimes they kind of get involved with arguments with parents, things that they're getting in the middle of things.
Yeah.
And so they kind of feel responsible. I had a kid tell me once that she felt she was the reason why her parents were miserable. because she was the firstborn, and they got married because they had her. And now they were talking about divorce. So she just felt miserable all the time because she felt if I wasn't here, this never would have happened.
Did she think the solution was to get rid of herself?
No, thank God. But
well, that made me nervous. Okay.
No, she was struggling though with how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And
basically, I feel like I'm the problem. How do I manage that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have to kind of reset
she
that.
She feels like she created the problem by being born. So it was really hard. And luckily she was able to work through that.
Yeah.
And in helping the kids understand that the decision for a divorce isn't about them. It's not about their behavior. It's not about them.
I think what I will tell, and so I'm going to leave this with the parents. I think the thing we're saying here with this fear of kids, your kids are also going through a transition. As you're transitioning through divorce, your kids are going through a transition. And if you're afraid that it's going to be, I don't want to hurt the kids, the kids are already going to be hurt. Okay, like if your marriage is really in a bad place, the kids are hurting already. If you get divorced, the kids are going to also hurt. I think the primary goal is that if you do divorce, right, that you're trying to create a different way for the kids to navigate a better environment. They're not seeing the turmoil every day or whatever it may be. With what was the old term, irreconcilable differences, right? Like we're not able to reconcile. I think ultimately, what every kid's dream and hope is, it's always the same, isn't it?
They want their
so when they're with their parents are still married and together, they want their parents to get along.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So get along, work through disagreements, and be at peace. When you get divorced, guess what the kids want?
Same thing.
The exact same thing.
They still want you to work together. They still want you to be nice. They want you to be.
So a remedy to the fear is you just have to maintain that job as best as you can. Getting along, working through disagreements, and creating peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when the kids can experience that in a marriage, it's beautiful. If that's not happening in a marriage and you are divorced, how do you create that as co-parents, as much as you can?
Well, and, parents are fun because I've had a lot of parents come in and say, I don't want this to impact my kids. We hide things. We do this. The thing is, the kids come in and they're like, they know everything.
Oh, yeah.
The parents think they're hiding their negative, their fights and their arguments and the different things. Like, oh, no, they don't know anything. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So Stephanie and I have never done this, but it'd be fun just to see what would happen. If Steph and I got into a fake argument with our door shut at our house.
Let's see what the kids do.
Just loud enough to where the kids could tell we were in an argument. And I guarantee you the kids would either be at the door or they would send one kid. I mean, I'm guessing. I could be way off. But one kid is going to be either an earshot and wanting to hear every single thing. So when you think, so I'll give you another one. Parents will do this too. They'll get on the phone with their friend or their parent or their sister or brother and talking about how their marriage is horrible, whatever else. And their kids are in the room playing on the iPad. You don't think the kid's listening to that conversation you're having with your?
They're always listening.
They're all. Say that again.
They are always listening.
Okay.
I've actually said this in session before because I have a lot of toys in my office and I see kids most of the time. Mm-hmm. And if the kids and the parents are in there together, the kids are usually playing with toys and and 9 times out of 10, the parents are like, no, you need to sit here, you need to talk, you need to listen. I'm like, no, they're okay. And I explain to them, it's like, they are listening while we're talking.
you don't have to worry about it.
The more they fidget with stuff, they're hearing it all. So just let them play. And especially the younger kids.
Yeah.
They need that outlet to do something.
Yeah.
They can't sit still.
It's kind of interesting because tuning out is like a choice.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you hear enough, like your brain will start doing it for you as a protective feature. But I think that most of us that tune things out, you choose it. So a child in most cases, especially if things are kind of hitting a high point, they're tuning in, not tuning out. So let's get to this last one, judgment and shame.
Judgment and shame. I think the fear of being judged.
Is this by a particular...
By other people, your friends, your family.
Okay. It encompasses anyone
outside of yourself.
Yeah.
So how others view you. Some cultures and religions don't really agree with divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that fear of what are people going to do when they find out I'm getting divorced? How are they going to treat me different? Are they going to treat me different? And it creates an anxiety in you. They're like, I don't want to tell.
What about our couple friends? I heard that one all the time.
Yeah. Who do you get in the divorce? So
who do you get in the divorce?
Sometimes you have that happen.
Yeah.
You've got couple friends. You have 2 couples that do stuff together all the time. And then all of a sudden one of those couples is no longer a couple. How do you manage that? Do both of you stay friends? Do one of you stay friends? How does...
You adult.
You adult.
And the way you adult is I think that you you let each other have their own relationship that they want, and you keep them out of the middle.
Well, theoretically, yes. Unfortunately, I don't think it always works that way.
Well, that's why I said you adult.
Yes. But I think that's a fear, though, because you're like, well, I'm going to lose friends over this. I'm going to lose family members over this.
You're going through a major change, a life change.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, think about it. If you really adore your in-laws, how do you manage that relationship post-divorce? Now, obviously, if you've got kids, it's a little bit easier because they're still grandparents. They're not grandparents anymore just because you got divorced.
Yeah.
They should still have that relationship with that other part of the family. It's difficult because now you don't have that connection to them anymore.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing about judgment is I've learned that we're humans and every human being judges, whether they judge fairly, or if you want to use that, even that's a real thing or not. I think what I've learned to do is like, I can't control how someone chooses to see me.
No.
I can only choose how I choose to be.
I literally have a little disc in my office. This is things you can control and things you can't.
Okay.
And on the things you can't is other people's thoughts and views. You can't control them.
I think we spend too much time telling people our why, and they don't really want to know it.
No.
I think
true.
so.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Well, no, Jen, what I mean by that is like, let's say you tell your friends like, hey, so-and-so and I are getting divorced. And then you want to go into all these reasons. We just couldn't get along. We never did it. And the friend's sitting there just looking at you kind of like they didn't ask. You just say, hey, look, I just want you to know we've been friends for a long time. And we're going through a lot, and I think we're going to call it quits. We're divorcing. Yeah. And then you stop.
Yeah.
If they don't have questions, I don't think, now you're probably afraid they're going to come up with things, and they may. But I think a good friend is going to sit there and look at you and just go, oh my goodness, is anything they're not going to inquire to be nosy, because if they're being nosy, they're just ready to go tell so-and-so friend too.
Yeah.
Like nosiness is really to use later.
Yeah.
So when when someone's being nosy. Yeah. Versus they're really adamantly like trying to understand, like, how can I be helpful to you, my friend? So I would say that if you just get past the idea that everyone's going to judge anyway. Yeah. You just go, I can't control it. Yeah. It gets rid of the judgment. So you can let that one go. The shame one, though, is I understand, because there's a part of you that's like, I didn't get married to get divorced, as you said earlier. Yeah. And so there's a little bit like
that
failed,
feeling,
or
I failed.
Mm-hmm.
That was the word I was thinking. It was failure.
Yeah, I failed. I wasn't a good partner. I wasn't a good, right? And so I think that what happens in a relationship is if you ultimately go into everything saying, I want to be the best version of me for you. Yeah. And I know I'm not perfect at it, but I'm going to work at it every day. I think there's no shame in that. Yeah.
Well, and I think one of the things I have thought about before with the shame factor is, like we're saying, you feel like you failed.
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand when you're thinking about divorce and you're going through this process, it takes two to get married, but it also does take two to get divorced.
It's a relationship.
It's a relationship. Yeah. And really, even if something significant happens, you're both there.
Yes.
You're both responsible. And I think parents, if they can understand that everyone has a responsibility in the divorce too, mm-hmm. as well as in the marriage, mm-hmm. and accepting your own responsibility, that can help you get through that fear and anxiety and how others view you, because you view yourself as a whole person. And from what I've understand with a lot of parents that I've worked with, a lot of people I've friends and people who've been divorced, the biggest thing is to focus on being the best version of yourself. Yeah. And what does that mean? And if I can't be the best version of myself with this person anymore, that actually ultimately can be the way to help you. I was very lucky. My parents were divorced when I was 1, so they were never together as far as I knew. Yeah. But they stayed friends. They were able to be collaborative and connection to each other the entire time of me growing up. They talked to each other, they were nice to each other, and they were able to manage that relationship beyond that. They figured out we're better apart than we are together.
And what difference did it make for you now as an adult?
It was amazingly different. I've seen other kids who struggled and they didn't have that kind of opportunity to have both parents on the same page. Yeah. They had a lot of turmoil in their household, back and forth and everything else. And I never had that.
And I know, and
it helped me.
I want to thank you for sharing your personal thing about your own divorce. How do you suppose it's helped you navigate divorce? Seeing that from, like, well, how did it help you personally? because of what you got to grow up seeing as a child in a divorce, and now yourself being divorced? How do you suppose it helped you?
That's a really hard question.
I know. I feel like I put you on a therapy stand here.
No, I mean, it helped me at least understand there's more than one way to think about a marriage.
Wow.
And there's more than one way to deal with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's helped me actually process my own relationships with my parents more so than anything else.
Yeah.
You know, my parents, me deciding to have a divorce actually helped because of what I've talked about with my parents. And seeing what they went through, seeing how their lives were, and really thinking about what's the best opportunity or the best option for myself.
And you could go to your parents with an S, plural.
Yes, I could go and talk to both of them about it. And they both understood, and they both they didn't, I mean, no one wants to get divorced.
Yeah.
It's a horrible process.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
We're literally here to try to help people with that because we know how horrible it is.
And luckily I don't have children, so I don't have that extra layer.
Yeah.
But there's still other things that go along with it that really impact everything. And all of these fears, I can tell you very honestly, I've had them all. I think everyone who goes through a divorce, the fears pop up. It's just a matter of how do you process the fear and get through it.
So I'm going to let the listeners kind of go, but I want to leave them, and I want you to chime in too and say, remember this as you go through. I'm going to give them a sense of things to remember. I want you to give them something to remember. Would you like to go first? Would you let me go first? So I'm going to go through these 5 things again: alone, regret and doubt, finances, kids, and judgment and shame. 5 fears that we find that people are going through when they're going through the process of divorce. What I want to leave you with is something that I was told to me. Janan said that one of the things that she says to people is give yourself grace. And I think as you're going through this, I want you to give yourself some grace. I don't want you to overwhelm yourself with things, but I also want you to hold yourself accountable. And what I mean by that is like, it's okay to go, I messed this one up. Yeah, that one was on me. Mm-hmm. And not to personalize it to a point where you say, and because I did that, this is why everything failed. That's not true. Going back to what Jen said earlier is, it takes 2 to make a relationship work, and it can take 2 to make it break. Mm-hmm. And so the only thing I'm asking of you is just finding your part in that and saying, this is where I could have been better. And that's okay. There's no shame in that, okay? I think that's part of our own growth and journey as human beings. So give yourself grace, own the parts of it that are yours, right? That's what I want to leave you with. And I also want to just let you also know as you go through this, really take the time in each of these feelings you go through to maybe make more sense of them, to understand them versus trying to like get rid of them. So many people spend time avoiding the hard emotion, not realizing that the hard emotion is really guiding you into something bigger and better about yourself. And so I would take the time to try to navigate what that really is versus trying to avoid it. And that's the takeaways I would give people. But go ahead. And
I have something kind of similar to that because I've been thinking about this, and a lot of this goes down to how you feel. It's emotion. It's an emotional process. And understanding your emotions at the core of them is significantly important. I tell my clients all the time, I was like, you can't avoid things forever. They will come back and bite you in the butt. I have another analogy, but it's gross, so I'm not going to just say it here. But at the same time, it's learning how to manage those emotions. Allow the emotion to happen. Do not try to suppress it, because the more you suppress it, it's going to come out somewhere else.
Yeah.
And usually not in a positive way. We get mad, we yell, we scream, anyway. But finding a way to be able to process your emotions so that you can actually understand what you're thinking, because a lot of times when we're upset, we don't think clearly. But if we can go through the emotion and through those feelings versus avoiding them or trying to go around them,
yes,
then you learn, okay, the next time this happens, it's not as hard. I'm not talking about divorce, but the next time the feeling happens.
Oh yeah, because those feelings come back up in other ways.
Oh,
sure.
And they will, because again, like the grief cycle that we talked about, it happens, that loss cycle with divorce. Some of these thoughts are going to come back 5 years from now.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, what did I do?
Yeah.
So you have to really be able to process what you think and feel. And that means going through the emotions versus around.
Yes. Well, thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
Thank you for everyone for letting us be part of your journey today. And I want to tell you that I appreciate you for being here. We do have some consistent listeners. I've heard from you all, and I want to thank you so much for letting us know and giving us feedback, which is what I've been craving. So please give us more of that. Send in questions or things if you can. We'd love to just hear more from our listeners so we know what they're needing from us. We want to make sure you're getting the information you need, and we won't bite, we promise. We want you to send stuff in, or even if you disagree with something, that's okay too. Send it to us. It gives us more ways to think about things a little differently. So I want to thank you so much for being here. Please follow us on Instagram or Facebook, wherever you like to see us. We're also on YouTube where you can see us live. Well, not live necessarily, but recorded version of us doing this podcast. And I want to thank you so much for being here. You keep moving forward, everyone.